I want to ask you, how many of you have some major goals you want to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I want to ask you another question. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you can do more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands. Very good. I want you to shake somebody's hand on your right and left, look him in the eyes and say, you have something special. Do that quickly, please. I say that not to be kind to you, not to be courteous. I said that because it's true. You have something special. You have greatness within you. You have talents, abilities, and skills that you don't even know that you have. And in the limited time that I have to share with you, I'm going to share some ideas and concepts with you that I want you to take some notes. Now, I want to make this clear. Number one, everything that I'm going to say, you already know it. It's a part of who you are. We're cut from the same cloth. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have invested your money, your time, and your energy to be in this place, to be a part of this Manpower Conference, if what we talk about with you at this particular time did not represent a part of who you are, your consciousness and your value system and your philosophy of life. So I'm going to only confirm and validate that which is a part of you anyhow. That's number one. Everything I'm going to say, you already know this. It's common sense, but not common practice. Second thing is, everything I'm going to say, you've heard it before. Bishop Jakes is not only a great preacher and visionary and lecturer, but he's a great motivator, a great strategist. He provides concepts to help people to deal with the whole person, spiritually, mentally, economically, our communities, every area of our lives. Last night when I saw the ministry that was going on in the prisons, thought about the scripture that says, the least that you do unto these, my children, you do it also unto me. That kind of vision, that kind of commitment, that kind of stand that is taken with his life in a historical context. One day when historians look back on this age, they will see the imprint and the impact that he's made. The next thing is not only that you already know what I'm going to share with you, and you've heard it before from Bishop Jakes and many other great speakers. Everything I'm going to say, I don't want you to agree with me, and I don't want you to believe me. That's not important. I'm going to share with you some ideas and concepts that's made a difference in my life. I want you to think about something that you want to create in your life experience right now. Some goal that you want. Some spiritual goal that you'd like to achieve. Some contribution you'd like to leave to humanity. Horace Mann said we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. I want you to think about some major goal that you'd like to achieve. Think about it right now. Something that's important to you. My first major goal was to buy my mother a home. That's something I wanted to do. That was important to me. I'm one of 7 children my mother adopted. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City. I was born in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. When we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted. When I was in the 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable mentally retarded. Put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade. I failed again when I was in the 8th grade. I don't have any college training, but between my mother and a high school teacher that I met by the name of Leroy Washington made a dramatic difference in my life and gave me a larger vision of myself. And so therefore my first major goal was to take care of my mama. I really identified with Deion Sanders last night. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And so that's what I wanted to do. Buy my mother a home. Let her sit home and I go to work and take care of her. That was important to me. And I achieved that goal. My mother passed 3 years ago from breast cancer. My goal now is to raise millions of dollars for breast cancer research. My goal now is to alert men over 40 to get their prostate examination. Last year I was diagnosed with prostate cancer and given a very limited prognosis. One of the things I strongly believe, when we gave you a handout indicating that, doctors should never tell a person that they are terminally ill. What they should say, my knowledge and my ability has terminated. Now you need to go someplace else and get some help. They should determine the diagnosis. God determines the prognosis. So every man here, if you're 40 years old, go get your prostate examination. Go get your PSA test, which is a blood test. Go get your digital rectal examination. I assure you, it is not a pleasant experience. It's not something you look forward to doing. But go do what you got to do anyhow. I was at a major medical convention, and they were giving free rectal exams. The guy said, "Hey, Les, come on, man, let me give you an examination." I said, "No, you're too motivated, brother. No way." No, you can't come up in here. No. How do you get motivated to do that? You know what I'm talking about? No. 58% of men don't go get the test till they're showing the symptoms. It is the #1 killer of men. It's serious. And so, therefore, I'm telling you, part of my mission is to alert you. I came up during a time, we believe what you don't know can't hurt you. What you don't know can kill you. Go get your examination and encourage your brothers and your uncles and your friends to do the same thing so we can reduce the number of men that will die from prostate cancer over the next year, over 40,000. We can reduce that number by early detection. Now, the other goal I have is training and developing speakers. I don't travel like I used to since I've been given this health opportunity. Remember something that T.D. Jakes said? He said, if you got a problem that man could solve, you ain't got no problem. I mean, truer words could not have been spoken. When I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I'm telling you, I started talking to Jesus more than I ever talked before. I increased my tithes by 30%. I was trying to cut a deal. I said, Lord, if you save me, let me tell you, you think Paul worked for you, just save me. In fact, I'm trying to get him to move it someplace else, put it in my toe, anywhere, not here, Lord. Oh my goodness. I tell you, boy. It's amazing how spiritual you can get if you think you're going to die. Oh, my Lord. Yes, sir. I'm telling you the truth. I used to pray so hard I got shaved. I went through so much in 1997. It was unbelievable. Went through that and then also filed for divorce from someone that I loved very much. I thought we were the perfect couple, and I thought we would be together for the rest of our lives. And so I learned a thing or two about life and the challenges of life. One of the things I strongly believe that in life you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. So part of what I'm doing is training and developing speakers. I have a gift in that area, helping a person find their message and how to use their life example to craft an experience, a special moment for an audience to transform their lives and teach them methods and techniques how to reinvent themselves. Training and duplicating myself through men and women and young people, because I believe that we live in the greatest country on the planet that gives us an opportunity to make a difference in other people's lives. Now, I don't know what your goal is, but I want you to visualize it right now and repeat after me with power and conviction. Let us say together, it's possible. Together, please. It's possible. Say it again, please. It's possible. See, that's the first step. I want you to think about this goal that you want. I want you to envision it and see it in your mind's eye. And every day, say to yourself that it's possible. See, most people are not accumulating wealth. Most people are living in poverty. Most people are living far below their potential, not because they don't have the capacity, not because they have not been given authority and dominion over everything on the face of the earth, but most people are living like they're living because of the fact that they don't believe they can have any more than what they now have. In the book called Miseducation of the Negro, Dr. Carter G. Woodson said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you'll never have to concern yourself with what he will do. If you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. That's why Scripture reminds us, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So every day you have to sell yourself and get out of your mind those old thoughts, that old belief system. Every day you've got to sell yourself on that it's possible, that you got to put a new mind in you. You got to get out of your mind. You got to begin to restructure your thinking. Every day you've got to begin to recondition your mind. See, many of us go through life making choices, thinking it's our choices, and it's not. What do you mean by that? I'm reminded of the great anthropologist Margaret Mead. She was in a restaurant in Europe, and a waiter saw her and said, "Oh, how are you? I'm so glad to see you." He said, "There are several other Americans here tonight." And she said, "Is that right?" He said, "Yes." She said, "When you serve them dessert, let me know and I'll tell you exactly how many are here." He said, "That's not possible." She said, "Let me know after you serve dessert." When he served dessert, he came back and he told her. She got up, she walked around, and she looked and she observed, and she said, "You have exactly 65 Americans here." He checked the guest list and he was amazed. He said, "How did you know that?" She said, "Because in Europe, when you eat a slice of pie or cake, you eat it from the back toward the tip. In America, when we eat a slice of pie or cake, we eat it from the tip toward the back." How many of you, when you eat a slice of pie or cake, you eat it from the tip toward the back? Raise your hands, please. Good. Now, what else is in your mind? What else are you doing unconsciously that you don't even know? I'm going to say something and I want you to answer it after it. I want you to end it for me. Winston tastes good like what? How many of you don't even smoke Winston but know it? Raise your hands, please. Now, that commercial been off the air for 30 years. 30 years. See, let me share something with you. The easiest thing I've ever done was to earn $1 million. The most difficult thing I've ever done was to believe it could happen to me. That was the most difficult part, to believe that given my circumstances, if my birth parents came down this aisle right now, I would not know either one if my daddy came up here or my mother came up here. Given the fact that I was born in an abandoned building on a floor, being labeled educable, mentally retarded, not having any college training, I used to feel all my life that people who had college degrees were more intelligent than me. I remember going to see the late Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the author of the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. And I used to look at him up on stage and I said, I could do that. I would love to talk to people. I love to talk to people. And I said, I could do that. But then when I started going back to my car, my mental conditioning activated itself. And it said, Les Brown, you can't do that. You don't have a college education. Les Brown, you can't do that. You don't have the training. You've never worked for a major corporation. You can't do that. What makes you think you can earn $5, $10, $15, $20,000 in an hour? You don't earn that now working for 2 or 3 months. What makes you think that you can speak for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, General Electric? These are clients I have now. You've never even worked for them. How many of you ever thought about something you wanted to do and you talk yourself out of it? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. That inner conversation is what's going to haunt you after standing here and saying, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. After saying that again and again, we are more than conquerors. That inner conversation will cause you, when you leave here, to go back leading a life of mediocrity, leading a life of unproductivity, leading a life of poverty. So I'm going to share with you how to break out of that. I want to share with you how to reach your goals. I think the Bible is the greatest motivational book ever been written. Now I want you to repeat after me, please. We got to recondition our minds first. Let us say together, good things are supposed to happen to me. Yeah, write that down. I want you to say that to yourself every day. See, we live in a world where we believe that bad things are supposed to happen to us. I remember at a point in my life, Bishop, when things are going good for me, and I said, this is too good to be true. Something is bound to happen. Guess what? It did. Thou shalt decree a thing that shall be established unto you and shall accomplish that whereunto it has been sent. Watch your words. Watch what you say about yourself, about your affairs. Be conscious of that on a daily basis. Why? Because your words are powerful. In the beginning was the Word. Life and death is in the tongue. Watch what you say. Never say I'm broke. Say I'm overcoming a cash flow problem. Claim what you want, not what you don't want. So affirm good things are supposed to happen to me, and begin to believe that. Begin to expect that. Now, I was talking to my oldest son, Calvin. We were going for a walk. And I said, Calvin, do you want to be successful? He said, yes, sir, Dad. It's okay. We kept on walking. Then I stopped and I looked him in the eyes. It's my namesake, my junior. I said, Calvin, we're looking at each other eye to eye now. Do you expect to be successful? Given the fact that you are a single parent of 2 kids, given the fact that you decided not to go to college to further your education, given the fact that you are very talented, but you're behind on your dreams and your bills, do you expect, based upon your performance, based upon what you produce at this point in time in your life, do you expect to be successful? And Calvin got quiet. Because see, if you ask most people at the Manpower Conference, do you want to be successful? Do you want to live a life of productivity? Do you want to live a life of contribution? Do you want to be a better father? Do you want to have your own business? Are there dreams you want? Everybody will say yes. But see, want shows up in conversation. Expectation shows up in behavior. See, I can tell what you expect by what you do. That's why the Bible says, judge a tree by the fruit it bears, not the fruit that it wants, not the fruit that it talks about, not the fruit that it claims, but by what you are doing. See, what you do when you leave here, when the music stops, when the shouting dies down, your behavior, how you conduct yourself, writing your goals down, deciding to enroll in school to get a GED, deciding to sit into class with children young enough to be your grandchildren, decide to find some product, some idea, some service that you can provide so that you can begin to create some value for yourself so you can create wealth. I want you to look at something right now. Think of some major goal you want, or maybe it's one you're already working on and you have experienced a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. You've experienced a lot of disappointment. Maybe you've already given up. And maybe you just need a little fire, a little encouragement to get back in the game again. Here's what I want you to look at. There are winners, there are losers, and there are people who have not discovered how to win. And all they need is some coaching. All they need is some help and assistance, just a little support. All they need is some insight or a different strategy, a plan of action to make some adjustments that will open up the key to a whole new future for them, that will give them access to the unlimited power that they have within themselves. That's all that they need. So what I want you to do is think about something you want for you, that's real for you, that's important for you, that will give your life some special meaning and power. And I don't even want you to say, I can do that. I don't want you to assume that. See, 5 years ago when I started out in this area, I would not have been able to make the mental leap that I would be up to where I am right now. I don't want you to begin to just psych yourself out. No. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea, you want to move on. You might not have the money. You might not have the education. You might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Most people operate out of their personal history, out of their memory, things they've done, things they've experienced, things they've seen, things that they have observed. What I'm suggesting that you operate out of a larger vision of yourself. I want you to see yourself doing what you want to do, experiencing what you want to experience, having what you want to have, doing what it is that gives your life some meaning and value. Operate out of your imagination, not your memory. Because whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And they can't see the possibility of it being any different. Example, before April 1954, the common belief, the universal belief, because it had been tried again and again and again and people had failed, the belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. What changed? 20,000 people, what changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done. And because they knew it had been done, there was a new belief about this barrier, about this goal that was unreachable. And those 20,000 people got in the race believing, knowing in their heart that someone had done it, that it's possible, that they could do it. And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe. That I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, the things can get better for me. It's possible. I'm thinking about two men right here in Chicago who were fairly successful, similar background, educated. They worked for a corporation for many years, and they were among many people that were laid off. Two guys who were very good friends. One went out looking for a job for several weeks along with the other one, and they faced disappointment and rejection again and again and again. They couldn't find any work, which is the story of many people across this country. One guy stopped. He became discouraged. He stopped going. He stayed home looking at television, became very argumentative and toxic with his wife, drinking beer, getting on the phone, talking to his other negative, unemployed friends. And he just gave up. The other guy kept looking for a job everywhere he could go. Every time he could get an opportunity, kept asking people, networking, checking the newspapers every day. Kept going everywhere he could, trying to find a job. You have too much education. You're overqualified. You won't be here long enough. He kept going. He kept going. He went to a place and said, look here, I tell you what, if you can't hire me, and I know you can use my talents, abilities, and skills, I don't want to sit home and do nothing. Just let me do some volunteer work. You don't have to give me anything, all right? I just want to work. I want to be busy. Guy said, okay, it's on you now, but don't expect me to give you anything. It's okay. This guy came in and worked. He was the first one there. The last one to leave was the best employee there. About 4 weeks later, one of the top managers quit. They were looking for a replacement. Guess who they selected? This other guy. This guy who was volunteering his time. He got the job. What was the difference between the two men? Eyesight and mindsight. Eyesight is judging on what you see. Judging according to appearances. But mindsight is how you interpret what you see. One guy said, it's not possible, it's over, I'm finished. I can't do it. I can't make it. He surrendered. I've faced rejection again and again. I'm not going anymore. There are no jobs out there. But this other guy, he felt that in spite of the no's and rejections, in spite of how bad the economy is, in spite of what the newspapers are saying, that it's possible that somebody somewhere will give me a job. He just kept going, thinking it was possible. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's what we have to do with our dreams. Because things happen to you in life that you can never, ever anticipate. And many times when those things happen, you want to give up. I remember when I was in broadcasting, when I was a disc jockey, I became very controversial, not only being a disc jockey, but I felt that radio was something that you not only entertain people with, but you also empower them, you educate them. And I got fired. I didn't just leave, they fired me. That was a shock. I said, wait a minute. They took my microphone. I thought that was who I was. No, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't. I had to do something else. And I didn't know what else I could do. See, here's what I'm looking at. What are the uses for your life right now that you haven't even reached for yet? See, I believe that when you don't have enough encouragement to act on your dreams or ideas, or you're not enlightened enough, that life will act on you. See, life had moved on me and said, Les Brown, you have outgrown this. It's time for you to do something else. Well, I wasn't enlightened enough. I organized some disc jockeys and got my job back. So they had to fire me again. I got fired twice. Here's what I did. I had to think of something else. And so a guy suggested to me, he said, Les, why don't you run for office? I said, man, I've never run for office. I've never known anything about how to operate in the political arena. I've heard encourage people to register to vote and get out to vote, but I don't know anything about politics. He said, well, neither do the people who run for office all the time. So I ran. Now here's what I'm suggesting. I ran. You got to do what you can where you are with what you have. I didn't have any money. I didn't know anything about the political process. I didn't even have any support. But here's what the guy told me. It's possible you could win. That's all I had. I was running against an endorsed candidate. He was an incumbent. He had the newspaper support, all of the leadership in the community, and I was challenging this guy. So I had a saying when I was on radio, stand up for what you believe in because you can fall for anything. And I would go door to door. I have my kids on one side of the street. I would be on the other. And
I'd knock on doors. Hello, my name is Les Brown. Tell everybody I'm still standing. They get on the phone. Child, Les Brown was to my house today. You know the boy on the radio with the big mouth? Yeah, they fired him, honey. Say he's still standing. See, I'm saying just keep moving. Don't start feeling sorry for yourself. Don't spend time blaming and talking about what happened to you. See, whatever you talk about, that's what you multiply and expand in your life experience. So don't talk about stuff unless you want it to keep on happening to you, all right? So I got in that kind of action. As I continue to do that, had my children with me, were going door to door, didn't have enough money. Eventually, we got close to the election and something happened that really surprised me. Guys who I thought were going to either support me or stay out of it, various powerful community leaders, they became involved in it and they endorsed my opponent. I felt devastated. Now that's going to happen to you when you're working on your dream. Things are going to happen that's going to catch you on the blind side. That was shocking to me. They didn't have to do that. All they had to do was just stay out of it. But here they go, come up in there messing with me. Now that's going to happen. There's some people who believe it's their personal business to stop you from living your dream, all right? But I didn't deal with that. You want to make your dream come true, you got to stay focused. Some people rather get even than get ahead. Stay focused on where you want to go. I just kept on doing what I was supposed to do. And so I was driving to the radio station. My opponent had over $20,000. I had less than $800. As I was in the radio station, the guy said, "You're going to make a commercial?" I said, "Yes." He said, "It better be a good one because that money can't go pretty far here." And I sat there in the middle control room and I was thinking. And here's what happens when you get still. Stuff will start coming. Something said, "Call your mama." You used to talk about your mother on the air all the time. Ask her to say a few words for you. That'll be a different kind of political spot. So I called my mama, and I had a gospel record playing in the background. And then I had my mother say, "Hello, this is Mrs. Mamie Brown. When I raised my sons, I raised them to be good children. When they got out of hand, I beat their behind and made them go right. Please vote for my son. He's a good boy." Usually in the state representative race, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people will come out to vote in a primary. In that primary race, over 27,000 people came out and voted and said, "I'm voting for Les Brown because his mama said he's a good boy." I won, ladies and gentlemen. I won. So you've got to be willing to stay focused, to be creative, to be relentless, because things are going to happen to you when you're working on your dream, when you get on track. I remember when I first got involved in speaking, one of the main things that speakers like to do is speak to a certain association that they have over 10,000 of their sales reps that come to this convention. And I was relentless. I kept saying, "It's possible. It's possible." See, what I want to let you know and set you up for, because you said it's possible, don't mean that you're not going to have any problems. That Murphy's Law ain't going to come and slap you side the head. Old Murphy going to come visit you. He's waiting for some of y'all out in the parking lot. "Oh, you say it's possible. Okay, it's possible. You better get up." Well, I was working. I kept saying, "It's possible." They got other speakers on this program. I can be on that program too. I kept selling myself. I got all fired up. And I was calling them every day, every day. And the lady finally said, "Mr. Brown, I tell you what, we want you to come in and talk to our sales executives. You got the kind of fire and guts that they want that will motivate them. And let me tell you something else. We want you to bring your motivational tapes. You're going to need at least $50,000 worth of tapes." I said, "Is that right?" "Yes, because they want to keep that drive alive." I said, "All right." I called the guy who duplicated my tapes. I said, "Don, how you doing? This is Les. Let me tell you, I got a major speaking engagement." He said, "Man, it's a speaker's dream. I need over $50,000 worth of product." He said, "Les, you don't have that kind of credit." I said, I know, but Don, I can sell that. Just right after speaking engagement, I'll give you your money in 4 days. He said, are you sure, Les? I said, yes, man, I got a major speaking engagement, and they told me to do it. He said, man, that's a big order. Let me talk with the lady with you. I said, hold on just a minute, man. Call the lady back. Hello, Evelyn, how you doing? This is Les Brown. I got Don on the phone. What did you say? Do I have the speaking engagement? Yes, you do. And what else you suggest? Les, our people, they buy a lot of tapes. Your tapes are very popular among them. I'm saying bring at least $50,000 worth of tapes, Les. You'll sell everything you got and more. I said, did you hear that, Don? He said, yes. I said, now, if anybody else has to make a decision, are you the final person? She said, I'm the final person. I will send you the contract. I want you. I said, you hear that, Don? He said, yes. I said, oh, ye of little faith. I said, duplicate the tapes, man. Hung the phone up. Well, he duplicated the tapes. 1 week came by. I'm checking the mail every day. No contract. I said, come on, Murphy, don't start nothing, man. Come on. Come on, man, give me a break. Come on, you know, this ain't fair. Come on, man. Give your boy a break, come on. I talked to myself, you know. I didn't want to call him right then. 2 weeks passed by. Murphy said, don't you think you ought to call him? I said, okay. I called, I said, hello, this is Les Brown calling. How you doing, Les? I said, fine. I said, Evelyn hasn't sent my contract out yet. Any additional information you need? So, Les, you haven't heard? I said, no. I said, Evelyn died. I said, she died? I said, did she say anything about me? When I got home, I was so wiped out. And Murphy was in the house waiting on me. Murphy said, is it possible you want to listen to some of your tapes? But ladies and gentlemen, here's what I had to do. I had to begin to focus on what was the solution. That this was not the only place that I'll be able to sell those products. And as I began to challenge myself and got some help and support and some other input, I eventually did. It took longer, but it was challenging. But I did it. Repeat after me, please. No matter how bad it is, or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got that right. Repeat after me, please. It's possible. I can have my dream. I can get what I want. I must be creative and never give up.
As you look at yourself, look at your goals, and look at the things that you want to do, put yourself out there. When I decided that I wanted to speak, I didn't want to just be a speaker. My goal was to be a dominant speaker in my niche. You've decided you want to be a category king or queen. You didn't just want to be one of the players, you wanted to be a player, the player. And that's why you're here. Iron sharpening iron. That's why you're here, learning some stuff that you don't know right now that will allow you to provide a quality of service for your customers and an experience so that when they leave there, they feel better about themselves. You're getting them in alignment with their vision of themselves and their body. They leave there feeling better about themselves, but talking about you because of the experience and because of the relationship. That's very important during this time in the distraction economy. What do you mean by we're so distracted? So much stuff's happening right now. In many situations, you can't even hear yourself think. And here's something else. and I'm going to just, I've got something I want to send you. This is very important. The master key when I'm looking at my life and I'm asking myself, how did I get here? Look for ways in which you can upgrade your communication. Steve Jobs said, your ability to communicate, he said, the storyteller is the most powerful person in the world. I want you to send me just I'm going to give you something, get the free. It's called 7 Principles of Storytelling. And it's very important because you have to tell the story about your business. You have to tell the story about yourself and your ability to tell your story. It's today, in order in this noisy world where we are, you have to be good at telling the story about yourself and about your practice and being in alignment where people are and finding out how you can communicate with them in a way that they can hear you. One of the things about your industry and most industries that a lot of people don't know, it's an ongoing process of educating people with a story that creates the thirst. People say, you could take a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. No, but if you know how to tell a good story, you can create a thirst where they want to drink. I remember when I ran for state representative and I had been fired from radio, and people who would ordinarily supported me when I was on the microphone, they said, Les, we love you, but man, you lost the microphone, editorializing about all these controversial things. We can't support you, man, and you don't have a chance of winning. You don't have no experience, and you don't have any money to fight the party, all the media supporting your opponent. But they miss one thing. I had a story, and when I was on air as a disc jockey, I used to talk about my mother. And when I went to the radio station, my opponent had over $40,000 because his brother was the head of the treasury for the AFL-CIO, and he had the money and the influence to get more contributors to his campaign than me. I'm a novice. This is my first time in the game. I remember a friend who was trying to talk me into running for office. I said, man, I can't do that. I don't know anything about politics. And Perkins said, neither do the people who run. So he went and got some petitions signed and said, man, you should run. People love you. And here I am on Friday before the election. It was a Tuesday. The election will be on Tuesday. And I came to the station. I had around $640. He said, what you gonna do with that? I said, I'm not sure. And then I got still and I thought, I said, can I go in the control room? And I used to do commercials. He said, yeah. I called my mother because I used to talk about my mama all the time when I was on radio. And I said, Mama, I need you to say something for me. I'm running for state representative. She said, Leslie, what kind of mess you in now? I heard because you're a big mouth, they fired you. I said, Mama, I just need you to say something for me. I ain't got time for this mess, boy. I said, Mama, I'll send you $500. I did Western Union. She said, okay, you better send me my damn money. I said, okay, Mama, I'm gonna record you, but you don't have to talk long. And I played a song by Aretha Franklin called Holy, 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 Come Together People. And then I had her say something. She said, hello, this is Mrs. Mamie Brown. When I raised my boys to be good boys. And when they got out of hand, I beat their behinds. Please vote for my son. He's a good boy. John Glenn called me, Senator John Glenn. He said, man, you call your mama on this dude, you gonna win this. And I did. I got 26,000 votes to his 3,000 votes because people say when they went in there to vote, say, I'm voting for Les Brown because his mama say he's a good boy. So being able to tell your story now, to be so good at it that you can't be ignored, to attract more customers, to get referrals, to create the kind of experience that people trust you, that people believe in you, that people feel a connection with you. Because no matter what you're doing and who you're talking to, when you go out in your community and speak to people, they're asking 3 questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? And so when you know how to tell your story, oh, the possibilities of what you can do and the impact that you can make and the reputation that you develop where people will seek you out and the word goes out. It's major. It's major. So I'd like to leave this with you, but I'm open for questions. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it. If all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gulf, sickness or pain of body and brain, can keep you away from the thing that you want. If dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. My goal is, I'm here because of God's grace and mercy. I know that. He spared me so I can help people. It's not about me. And I'm grateful. Somebody asks, what do you want said about you when you go? I aspired to inspire until I expire. You have something special. You have greatness in you. Allow me to work with you in my community of greatness to bring out your power voice. It's a systematic process. There's no secret to success. There's a system to success. I've used it. I've done it. This has been Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. It's been a plum-pleasing pleasure, as well as a privilege. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Bye for now.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And I think the majority of people actually are not living their dreams, but are living their fears. So I want to ask you a question. What are your fears? What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Because we all have fears, don't we? We all have something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. And as we begin to look at life, what we realize is that the reason that most people are not living out their true potential, are not doing all of the things that they would really like to do, is because of fear. Some people call fear false evidence or expectations appearing real. I'm reminded of the story of a guy that was living in an area where he had some new neighbors, and these neighbors had a bulldog. And when he came home every day, this bulldog used to chase him about a half a block from his house. Every day, he would have to streak home. I mean, he would just run. This bulldog would be right on his heels. And so he just got tired of that, because he would go home about a half a block away from home. He would look around for this bulldog, and he wouldn't see him. And he would go walking casually along, and this bulldog come out of nowhere, woo, 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 and start chasing him, and he'd run home. So this one day, he just got tired.
And so when the bulldog was running after him, he started running. He saw a rock and he stopped to pick it up to throw at the bulldog. And when the bulldog got up on him, he started barking. He realized the bulldog didn't have any teeth in his mouth. Then he started chasing the bulldog. If you don't get on away from it, because the most the bulldog could have done is gummy, you know. And so, you know what? Most people go through life running scared. Running scared from things that have no teeth in them because they're false expectations appearing real. That, see, we're brilliant enough to scare ourselves to death. Do you realize that? There are some people actually who get a kick out of scaring themselves to death. I remember the last frightening movie I saw. It was The Exorcist. I will never forget. I was so frightened when I came home. I'll never forget. I drove in the driveway and I had already called my former wife and said, listen, turn the lights on. I was coming in the driveway and I was getting out of the car, and all of a sudden I couldn't get out. I started blowing my horn. I said, Madeline, they got me, they got me. She came to the kitchen with and said, take your seatbelt loose, fool. I said, oh, okay. I was frightened out of my wits. But there are a lot of people who they get off on that. They love it. I'm a person, my brother is a paratrooper. My twin brother, he's in the military, career man. I would love to jump out of an airplane to parachute. I'm scared though. I mean, I really admire my brother for that. I would really love to be macho man like that. What are the things that you fear that's been keeping you from living your dream? That's been keeping you from doing some things that you would like to do? Just think about those things. And how do we begin to handle that? Abraham Maslow said that life is about growth. And he said, you can either go back to your comfort zone, and there you won't find any growth, or you must be willing to go forward and face your fears again and again and again, because you're never going to have a fear-free existence. I mean, some fear is acceptable and legitimate. There are some things that you really should be afraid of. Now, you shouldn't allow it to immobilize you. You acknowledge it, you take it into account, and you carry yourself accordingly. There are times that we should proceed with caution. But it's the difference between being stopped by fear. It's the difference between having a fear and the fear having you. So what do? One, acknowledge it. And knowing that it's okay. Don't condemn yourself for being afraid. It's perfectly fine to have some fears. You acknowledge your fears, you embrace those fears, and then you move on. You act on whatever it is that you fear. Because once you embrace it, see, what you resist will persist. What you resist will persist. So one of the most important things is to begin to embrace your fear.